Hola, bienvenido de nuevo. Hoy traemos uno de esos libros clásicos que triunfan siempre. Se llama Goldilocks and the Three Bears. En castellano la conocemos como Ricitos de oro, seguro que te suena. La pregunta que te hago hoy es, ¿qué es lo que come Ricitos de oro Goldilocks cuando entra en la casa de los osos? Presta atención y lo vemos luego. Soy Mónica, bienvenido a Peque Books. Today we're reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears, written and illustrated by Maria Claret. Goldilocks had always wondered about the wood that grew close to her home. Her mother had forbidden her to walk in it in case she got lost. But still she thought about the animals who lived there and wished she could see them. But one morning, on her mother's birthday, Goldilocks went out to gather some flowers for her. She thought she would pick them just at the edge of the woods. One patch of flowers led to another until she had gone quite a long way between the trees. When at last she looked up, she could see only the woods all around her. She was lost and all alone. Poor Goldilocks! She leaned against a tree and began to cry. The woodland animals were very sorry for her, but they didn't know the path to her home. "I know what to do," said a small rabbit at last. "Don't cry any more, Goldilocks, I can help you. I will take you to some friends of mine. They know every path in the woods, and they will lead you safely home." "Oh, thank you, Rabbit," said Goldilocks. "How kind you are." She dried her tears at once and began to think instead of the lovely meal that her mother was preparing for her birthday. She was getting hungry. Happily, she and the rabbit set off together. Deeper and deeper into the wood they went. At last, in a sunlit clearing between the trees, they came upon a pretty little cottage. With its bright red roof and green windows, it looked very welcoming. Now, in the cottage there lived three bears. A great big bear, a middle-sized bear, and a very small bear. But just then none of the bears were at home because they had gone for a walk while their breakfast porridge was cooling. It was much too hot. Baby Bear had dressed himself quickly. "Come on, is everyone ready?" called Father Bear. "Yes, dear," said Mother Bear. "I shall take a basket so that we can pick wild strawberries." And off the three bears went, very happy on such a beautiful morning. They had just gone when Goldilocks reached the cottage. The rabbit said goodbye and hopped away. Goldilocks knocked at the door, but no one answered, so she pushed it gently open. Seeing no one there, she slipped inside. On the table were three bowls of porridge, a very big bowl, a middle-sized bowl, and a very small bowl. They smelled delicious, and Goldilocks was very hungry. "I'm sure they wouldn't mind if I just have a little," she said. She tasted the big bowl of porridge, but it was too salty. So she tasted the middle-sized bowl, and that was too sweet. Then she tasted the little bowl, and that was so good that she ate up every bit and drank the last drop of milk. Then she ran upstairs, full of curiosity. she found herself in a room with 3 neat white beds. A great big bed, a middle-sized bed, and a very small bed. Goldilocks was tired after her walk. She tried all the beds, but the very small one was the best. She curled up in it and fell fast asleep. Soon the bears came back, very hungry after their walk. They looked at the bowls on the table. "Who's been eating my porridge?" growled the great big bear in his deep voice. "Who's been eating my porridge?" said the middle-sized bear in her quieter voice. "And who's been eating my porridge?" squeaked the very small bear. "They've eaten it all up!" And he began to cry. Whoever could it be? They began to look around. Then crick, crack, crick. There was a crick from the bedroom. "There's someone up there," said Baby Bear, rather frightened. "We'll soon find out who it is," said Father Bear. They stumped upstairs together and looked at the 3 beds. "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" growled the great big bear in his deep voice. "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" said the middle-sized bear in her quieter voice. "And who's been sleeping in my bed?" squeaked the very small bear. "And look, she's still asleep in it." "Wake up, little girl!" growled the great big bear, but Goldilocks didn't wake. "Wake up, little girl!" said the middle-sized bear, but Goldilocks didn't wake. "Wake up! You're sleeping in my very own bed!" squeaked the very small bear, and Goldilocks opened her eyes. Seeing the 3 bears, she jumped up joyfully. She wasn't a bit afraid. "What a pretty little girl!" growled the bear. Growled the great big bear in his deep voice. "What a pretty little girl!" said the middle-sized bear in her quieter voice. "Yes," squeaked the very small bear, "but she's eaten all my porridge and slept in my bed." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean any harm," said Goldilocks. "And there's no harm done," said the bears. "We are glad to see you." They took her hands and began to dance in welcome. After they had danced together, Goldilocks said to her new friends, "Please, do you know the way to my home?" "Of course," said the 3 bears. "We know every path in the whole woods. We will take you home," said the very small bear happily. Goldilocks laughed and played with Baby Bear until she suddenly remembered her mother. She had dropped all her flowers when she was lost. "Oh dear," she cried. "I haven't a single flower for my mother on her birthday." "We will all help you," said the 3 bears. And soon they had picked a beautiful big bunch. When they reached Goldilocks' house, she invited them to come in, but the bears said they must go. They promised to visit her some other time and said goodbye. "Goodbye," said Goldilocks. "Goodbye." She waved to them until her mother came out of the house. "Who are you waving to, Goldilocks?" asked her mother, but Goldilocks only hugged her as she gave her the flowers and didn't say anything. She wanted her adventure with the 3 bears in the wood to be her very own secret. On their way home, the bears thought about next day. "I shall get up very early and go fishing," thought Father Bear. "I shall make some strawberry jam," thought Mother Bear. "I hope we get home soon," thought Baby Bear, holding tight to his mother's apron strings. He didn't like the dark very much, but the moon rose round and big and shone brightly on the path, and he wasn't afraid anymore. Every night after that, Goldilocks looked out of her window just before she settled down to sleep. She could see the 3 bears walking around the moonlit path through the woods. They waved at her, and she waved back at them, saying under her breath, "Good night, dear friends, good night." Este es uno de esos libros que siempre gustan, ¿verdad? Seguro que te ha gustado. ¿Y ya averiguaste qué es lo que come cuando llega a casa de los 3 osos? ¿Sí? Vamos a ver qué come Goldilocks. Dice, on the table were 3 bowls of porridge. Porridge. ¿Porridge? ¿Qué es porridge? Es una crema de avena, que en castellano, en España, le llamamos gachas. Espero que te gusten mucho y las comas, que son sanísimas. Si te ha gustado el libro, te recomiendo siempre que lo compres. Y no te olvides de suscribirte, darle al like o compartir con tus amigos. Gracias por seguirnos. Nos vemos con el próximo cuento.